Hello, welcome in. I'm doing a co-parenting Q&A, and I picked out 5 questions that you guys asked, and I will answer each one of them. This one will go on YouTube later today, so if you don't catch all of it or you want to rewatch part of it, you'll be able to check it out on YouTube. So that'll be a cool thing that I start doing. And one, I really just want to appreciate you for being here. I want to appreciate that you follow me, that you are trying your best to co-parent, that you're trying to figure out how to live this life that you didn't see coming, that you didn't plan on. So if you're watching this on Instagram, comment like where you are, comment a question if you have it. If you're watching this later on YouTube, put in the comments where you're at. And then also, ask me a question. If you're asking on Instagram, I will try to answer it at the end. If you ask it on YouTube, I will take it and do another Q&A. But the first question, I'm going to do 5 questions, is what's your story? How did you end up raising 2 kids that aren't biologically yours? So, for those of you who do not know, my sons, Elliot and Sawyer, who are 11 and 10, what up, from Virginia, Australia. So cool. I just think that's cool. Shout out, because it's for me Tuesday at noon. It's probably Wednesday night or Wednesday early morning for you. Shout out Callie, also from Virginia. That's Shakria. Shakria just finished up 12 weeks with us in the Creators. Glad to see you, Shakria. What's my story and how did I end up raising kids that aren't biologically mine? Well, that really depends on how far you want to go back. I think that a lot of my life has happened exactly the way that it was supposed to get me to where I'm at today. And part of that is, like, I was raised by a single mom. My dad was not involved. I met him twice that I can remember. Once when I was 7, once when I was 12, for like 20-ish minutes the first time, a couple of hours the second time. So part of what I know now is that, and part of the reason that I coach primarily moms right now, is that's what I know. I know single mom life. I don't know single dad life. I don't know what it's like to just see my kids every other weekend. And I know that those are stereotypes, but I'm going to use them for right now. I know the single mom experience. I know what it's like to be the primary caretaker. I know what it's like to be the one worrying about the emotional side of things. But my story, so I grew up without my dad. My mom raised me by herself. I have 2 older siblings. And my mom raised me with a lot of fear. A lot of fear that I'd repeat the mistakes that she made. A lot of fear that I would end up a lot like my dad. And so she kept things from me. She kept her own personal history from me. She kept, she wouldn't talk about a lot of it. She wouldn't share about a lot of it. And sex was one of those things that we didn't talk a lot about. And in my search for validation, in my search for belonging, in my search for connection, but especially in my search for wanting to be chosen, I found sex. I found porn, I found sex to be places that I felt like I could be chosen, that I could feel like a man. And so I have had a very tumultuous relationship with sex and with women. And part of that includes getting herpes at 19, and that really changing the dynamic of my life. But I also didn't date. I never saw my mom date, so I didn't date. I was not married. So my story really, with the boys' mom, is that we were friends with benefits, and honestly probably not even friends. We were hooking up. and hooking up for a while, like months and months of hooking up. And what I'll say, just transparently, is that it was like I had had sex before her, but the sex that we had was on a different level. It like tapped into things that I knew, like I clearly, as soon as we started having sex the way that we were, it was something that I wanted more of. And not only that, it, like her choosing me, I felt very much like a man. And I know that sex was one of my coping skills. Like sex was one of the ways I numbed myself. So we slept together for months and months, and eventually it got to the point where it was like, well, we are sleeping together often. We do get along. So like, why don't we, like, I thought, like, why don't we date? Like, why don't we at least try? And I asked her if she like wanted to be exclusive, and she said no. And that was an ego hit that I was not expecting. So I ended things, broke things off, stopped trying, went and dated somebody else for like all of 1 month. Because I literally told her, I was like, if you're not going to date me, I'm going to go find somebody else who will. And that didn't work out. So then I went back to the boy's mom, and probably like a month after restarting things, she sent me a text and was like, hey, we need to talk. And that's when she told me she was pregnant. And that was like 2014 at this point, probably like late 2013. And she told me she was pregnant. And like, with as long as it's been at this point, I don't know if she ever told me she was pregnant and told me that it was mine. But she told me she was pregnant. So like, I always wanted to be a dad. Like we met each other working at a daycare. I've also been a teacher. I've loved kids forever, and I wanted to be a dad forever. But to be fair, I thought I had ruined my life. I thought I had ruined my life. I thought I had ruined my future. And she was not the person I wanted to have kids with. I didn't want to be with her. So we didn't try to make it work. We didn't get together for the sake of the baby, but I would go to the appointments. I would help her out when she was pregnant, while she was pregnant. Like, I tried to be supportive. I tried to do the right thing. To be fair, like after I had like somewhat of a mental, I don't know if it was a breakdown, but like after having hardcore anxiety for a couple of weeks, not knowing what to do, I talked to my mom. My mom really talked me off the ledge, more figuratively than literally. And after I kind of came to the conclusion that like I was gonna be in the child's life, and that even though we weren't going to be together, like I would honor, like really, like I guess in my mind, like, looking back, I saw it more as like paying for my consequences. I saw that what I needed to do is like take an accountability for the fact that like I did this, which again, and moms, women, you know this, that's not what she wanted to hear. That's not what she was looking for. Just as much as I was using sex to feel chosen and using sex for validation, she's never said this explicitly, but from what I can understand, she was using sex to get a family. She wanted to be a wife. She wanted to be, she wanted to be a mom. She wanted to raise a family. And I know, looking back, that me seeing this as a responsibility, like I wanted to be a dad, I was excited about that, but I did not see it as like us being together. And moms, you can understand probably even more than I can, that's not what she was wanting. So our relationship was tenuous at best. But again, like so much of the it was like an addiction, sleeping together, having sex. So like after my older son Elliot was born, we had sex like twice, and honestly, I didn't find out she was pregnant with Sawyer until she was like 4 months pregnant. And there's a lot that I could talk about, and I do talk about it like people in my group. I don't share it a ton publicly, but there was just a lot of red flags, and I ignored all of them. And the second child, his name was Sawyer. We were like, he's so pure, and it's wild because we were so angry when she was pregnant with him. Angry at ourselves, but we projected our anger at each other, me and her. And so, yeah, again, like it wasn't we're going to be together because of this, we're going to try to make it work. I think that each, like as it went on, I was trying not to keep getting sucked back in. And it wasn't like she was constantly trying to get me to come back. It was like a drug I was addicted to. I was trying to quit a drug. I was trying to quit what our sex felt like. And to be fair, to be transparent, it runs a lot deeper than that now that I know, like now that I've been on a journey through a lot of this. Like not only do I use sex to feel validation and to feel like a man, it was like sex and porn have also been very prominent coping skills, like for stress, for feeling tough emotions. Like I didn't realize how deeply rooted into my nervous system porn and sex were until a few years ago. And it's been a journey I'm still on, to really extract porn and sex from being methods of coping. And I think that's like, it's so important because looking back, it's like I was using sex as means of validation, coping skills, that sort of thing, while the sex for her was like connecting us and bonding us, and literally what I thought at the time was like creating life. And so after Sawyer was born, my second child, like our relationship was really, really just unhealthy in so many ways. And I don't even remember all the details at this point, but we did sleep together again. And then she got pregnant again. And, I think that maybe this is a story I need to tell more often, because there's a decent amount of embarrassment that I still hold. Like I'm still able to talk about it, but I think that for a long time it hurt. A long time there was anger. A long time there was blame towards her. And I think that now there's a lot more embarrassment. There's a lot more shame. There was then too, but I think I just projected those things towards her. And those emotions were clearly there at the time and clearly there afterwards. But yeah, she got pregnant, and at that point, and I think that this is what has helped me coach so many different people, and honestly women in general, is because like, was there abuse? No. And I'm not claiming that my situation is the same as moms and a lot of women that I have coached, that domestic violence, abuse, whether verbal, financial, was involved. One thing I do understand is that like, it's wild what you are willing to put up with when you don't value yourself. Like, it's wild what you're willing to talk yourself into believing, talk yourself into, like, literally how you talk yourself into, like the words that you'll use to convince yourself that either things aren't as bad as they are, or something's normal that's just clearly not normal. But like, even while she was pregnant with the third child, there was just enough lying and false truths that I couldn't ignore them anymore. And so one of the things that I had been told was that she had gotten her tubes tied before she got pregnant, and she got pregnant. So clearly there were some discrepancies between what I was told and what had happened. But even after she had gotten pregnant, she kept to the story that she had gotten her tubes tied. And so that went on for probably a couple of months, and eventually, and I would still go to we weren't together again, we weren't together, but I would go to the appointments, and there got to be a point where I was like, the next time that we go, I'm going to ask them to either show me the records, because it would be on record if you had gotten your tubes tied, or I'm going to ask them to explain to me how this could have happened. How does this happen? And at that point, she told me that, okay, I didn't get my tubes tied. And that was just if you've been in your own version of this situation, it was just the thread that needed to be pulled that just started unraveling everything. And so that child got born, and when she was 2 months old, I did a DNA test on her, and she wasn't mine. And then that was when things fully came undone, because then the boys at this point, Elliot was 2.5, Sawyer was just over a year, and I did a DNA test on them. And they both came back that they weren't mine. And with Sawyer, my younger one, I kind of always felt like maybe he wasn't. And this one still hurts. It's still there. Finding out Elliot, my firstborn, wasn't biologically mine hurt in a much bigger way than just finding out that he wasn't biologically mine. It shattered identities that I had created. It shattered things I thought to be true. There was part of me that always kind of knew that Sawyer might not be mine. It's one of those things that you don't fully name, but it's not a surprise. But with Elliot, Elliot was, from birth, everything that I had ever wanted in a kid. Fatherhood was everything that I had ever wanted it to be. Being a dad was everything that I had wanted it to be. And so finding out that he wasn't biologically mine, it hurt because of him. And it hurt because of, the biology. But it also hurt because it truly stripped away how I saw myself. And that part took a long time to get back from. So how did I end up raising them? It's I will not lie. It took me no time at all to to choose not to be the parent of the baby. The third child that was born, I did not have any desire, I don't know how this sounds to other people, but it was she was 2 months old. There was so much toxicity. I didn't have any problem choosing that. I guess I did think, what will they think when they're older? But that did not take much thought to be I'm choosing not to parent this child. With the boys, Sori was a little over a year, and it was like, that probably took me 24 hours to make the decision that I was still going to be his dad. And with Elliot, there was just, I never questioned Elliot, and I guess the only thing that like ever I needed to question with Sori was like, how could I not? So just to pause, somebody asked, are there biological fathers aware that they are fathers and or involved? No. I don't know if they know. That would be a question for the boy's mom. And so they're not involved. But this is, again, what I mean by, like, I truly believe I was given a path to walk in life where me not knowing my biological father, like, me and my kids have a really wild connection and bond that none of us know our biological father. And I do think that part of my journey will include meeting again my dad as I'm 38, as an adult, so that I'll be able to walk my kids through it if and when they choose to. And so the wild thing is that, like, I hated her for this. I blamed her so much. I was so angry. And I held on to that anger for a long time, and I need some of you guys to hear this. That anger was so motivating. I went back to school. I became a teacher. I bought a house. And a lot of that was like, fuck her energy. Like, it was, I'm going to do this to show you I'm better than you. And I use that anger and I use that hate as motivation. So I know some of you are at that stage where, like, you're angry and you're actually filled with hate, but it's motivating you. And I need you to not be ashamed of that. It will run out. You cannot sustain a meaningful life on hate and anger. But if it's what's motivating you right now, I see you. And there's absolutely no judgment for that. And I know some people just see me and think so many things. So I know that some people are probably going to hear me say how much I hate the mom and make it out to be like I'm just some bitter dad. From pretty much Jump Street, we had 50-50. And now I have primary care. So, like, again, how did this end up happening? So I guess the first question, I do have 4 more questions. I will not go into this much depth with the other 4, but this is clearly an important thing to me. I let go. I let go of of my life being attached to her. I let go of the hate being attached to her. I let go of trying to prove anything to her. I let go of trying to get her to understand. I let go of the attachment I had put my life, like I had attached my life to her and what she did. And like by doing so, I put myself in a position where I could be the primary parent. And now she's remarried. She has other kids. It works out incredibly well. So Christina, I do appreciate that. And I was at that point too. She says, I feel like I love my kids more than I hate my children's father. And this is what I need Christina to hear. And this is what I need all of you to hear, is that in that sentence, Christina, you do not exist. That's what's missing. You say, I feel like I love my kids more than I hate my children's father. And Christina, I know that you will change your entire life when you are in that sentence, when you are the main character of that sentence. Because right now, I feel like I love my kids more than I hate my children's father. You don't exist. And that is the root of everything that you're struggling with right now. That is the root of I know that you self-sacrifice. I know that you have a hard time understanding how he could act the way he does. I know that that just tells me so much. And I know that that runs deeper than co-parenting. That's a pattern that has been there for a long time. So, if you have more questions about my story, send me a message or comment, when I post this here and on YouTube. But I'm going to answer more. These are more co-parenting related now, right? So, question 2. How to deal with constant worry about my child's safety and mental well-being when they're with a co-parent. Question number 2. How to deal with constant worry about my child's safety and mental well-being when with my co-parent. Here's what you need to understand about constant worry is that you are running an operating system that is designed to look for something. You are running an operating system that is designed to look for things to be worried about. So how do you deal with the constant worry about my child's safety and mental well-being? I'm going to give you, I don't know how many steps are going to be, but I will give you steps. Number 1, write out all of your worries. Write them out, because right now they're up just swirling around in your head. And you need to put them down on paper. So what are you actually worried about? Like you say, the question is my child's safety. What is the actual safety concern? What is the actual mental well-being concern? Okay, so number 1, write it all out. Number 2, start connecting the dots. How many of those concerns are things that you dealt with when you were in the relationship? So many times I have anxious parents raising anxious kids because the anxious parent got out and they're anxious because their kids are still attached to the co-parent, and the kid is just going through the same things that the adult did, that the person who left did, and they never learned how to deal with it. The adult, the parent, never learned how to deal with the conflict. They never learned how to deal with the other person's anger. They never learned how to deal with their own emotions. So now they are anxious that they are sending their kids, and their kids are anxious because the adult in their life doesn't have their shit together. So how do I deal with the constant worry about my child's safety? Is that you have to start healing what you went through in the relationship. Because the more that you can heal what you went through, then you can provide guidance for your kids rather than words. What your kids need to see is how you deal with it. They need to see how you handle those things, not just telling them how they should. If they aren't seeing you deal with conflict, if they aren't seeing you process your emotions, then telling them to deal with conflict and telling them to feel their emotions is so empty. So first you need to write it all out. What are you actually worried about? And then number 2, you need to connect the dots. How many of the things that you're worried about that they're going through are the same exact things that you went through? And then number 3, you need to heal those things. Okay, and right now you can do that by joining the creators. If you're a mom, I'm running a accelerated version. It's 6 weeks. You can get in and you can join us for 6 weeks of intensive coaching. We really help you rewire the operating system, because I know that the same person who wrote this question, how to deal with constant worry about my children's safety and mental well-being when with their co-parent, is also a parent that says that they want what's best for their kids and that they would do whatever it takes to do what's best for their kids. So then you have to heal. What's best for your kids isn't a constantly worried mother. It's not a constantly anxious parent. If you are constantly anxious, that's not what's best for your kids. If you are constantly worried about how they are doing, then you are implicitly sending the message that they're going to get fucked up, or that the co-parent has more impact than you. You have to be willing to rewire your thinking and rewire your thoughts to see how things are going to work out. It is not what's best for your kids if you are in a constant state of deficit and lack and worry and anxiety. That breeds more lack. That breeds more anxiety. That is not an energy that you want to raise your kid up in. So it is not what's best for your kid if you are constantly anxious. So then you have to learn how to deal with your anxiety. So start by writing them down, Start by connecting the dots. What are the things that you're worried about that you actually lived through? Because those are valid. It's valid if you worry about the kids being yelled at because you were yelled at, or their emotions being suppressed because your co-parent didn't pay attention to your emotions. But then the only thing you can really do is heal what you went through, so that when your kids bring it up to you, you aren't bleeding your problems onto your kids. Okay? That was question number 2. Question number 3 hits home personally. Okay? Actually, before that, I'm going to answer 2 questions that people popped up on here, right? So somebody said, confused though, you wanted to be a dad. How did you feel knowing that there are men out there who might want to be a father of father their own kids? That's not something that I really spend a lot of time thinking about, because that's their journey. That's in my mind, they knew. I'll tell you exactly how it makes sense in my mind. With time, I believe she went to them first. In my mind, I believe my co-parent went to them first, and they said no, and then she came to me. To be fair, do I know that? No. Could I be 100% wrong? Yes. But at a certain point, we all have to choose what we are going to believe and follow through with that. And if, I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is exactly how it was meant to happen. And if something in the future happens that they come into the boys' lives, I will have done everything I can do to prepare myself to guide them through that. Okay? And then another person asked, what about talking bad about yourself? You have practiced talking bad about yourself, so the only thing you can do is practice talking better about yourself. You have practiced talking bad about yourself for years, if not for decades. Okay? So you can't just snap your fingers and magically change everything. You will have to practice better self-talk. You will have to practice better self-trust. You will have to practice listening to yourself. You have to practice those things, or else they will never stick or never change. But as the primary caregiver, you are technically alienating those fathers and robbing them of a relationship. So with love, I have no idea how that comment makes sense. As primary caregiver, I am technically alienating those fathers. No. I think your name is Renee. With all due respect, that comment has so much more to do with you and either your own experiences or how you feel about mine, that it's just bonkers to say that. It's just, in order to rob somebody, they would have had to have it first. And again, this is exactly how it was meant to happen. And if they came into the life, if they had the desire, we'd figure it out. There would be no alienating. So with all the love and respect I can give, that comment has so much more to do with you than it does with me. So question number 3, how to stop wanting each other back even though he cheated while I was pregnant? I told you this one hits home because two reasons. One, it was so hard to stop sleeping with Rachel. Her name is Rachel. She's okay with me saying that. My co-parent, it was so hard for me to stop sleeping with her because I was attached on so many levels. Like I said, I was attached to what the sex meant to me. It validated me. I felt like she was choosing me. I felt like a man. And so I didn't stop wanting to have sex with her. I started finding ways to validate myself. I started finding ways to choose myself. I started finding other ways that helped me feel like a man. So you can't stop him or her. I don't know who actually asked this. I don't know. You can't stop the other person from wanting to get back together with you. But I can, again, I'll give you a couple of steps for this process. Number one, you need to sit down and think about what your life would be like if you got back together. Think about what you're write about it. I journal through everything. If you are not journaling, you are not healing. I'll just be real. If you are not journaling, you are not taking your healing journey seriously, and you are going to repeat a lot of the same mistakes way more than you need to. So if you are not consistently journaling, you need to start. And journaling is just writing about what's happening, writing about how you feel, writing about what you want to do or what you think you should do. Journaling is a way to get in a better relationship with yourself. So if you don't know how to journal, date yourself. Go out to coffee with yourself and just write about how you're feeling that day. Grab it in the morning, write about what you want to do that day. Grab it at night, plan out your day. I promise you, journaling isn't a secret. If you don't journal, you don't know yourself. It's that simple. So one, write about the question, how to stop wanting each other back even though he cheated while I was pregnant. Write about how your life would be if you did get back together. Okay? First step, write about it. How do you imagine it? How do you picture it? Number two, ask yourself this simple question. Do you want that? Do you want that? Not, would that be best for the kids? Not, would that keep him involved? Write out how your life would be if you got back together, and then ask yourself, do I want that? Some of you have a hard time asking yourself what you want. You have actually just built a life always trying to give other people what they want and then trying to be happy when they're happy. I promise you, you are stuck in a pattern of never asking yourself what you want, so you try to give others what they want, and then if they're happy, you're happy, and if they're not happy, you're not happy, so you're always at the mercy of what other people are saying and doing. So if you are, like this person asked, how to stop wanting each other back even though he cheated while I was pregnant, write it out. How would life look? Do you want that? Third thing, what is it that you think you would get if you were back together? Is it connection? Is it love? Is it a family? Is it confidence? Is it that you would, that your kid would be better off? And then ask yourself, this is the fourth step, how can the fourth step is, am I giving those things to myself? Am I validating myself? Am I giving myself a sense of connection? And can I give those things to myself? And this isn't some hyper-independent bullshit. If you're in a healthy relationship, you should still be validating yourself and getting validation from your partner. If you are in a healthy relationship, you should be connecting with yourself and getting connection from your partner. So if you are struggling with, do I get back together or not, write out how your life would be. Ask yourself, do I actually want that life? Then write out, what are the things that I would get if we did get back together? And am I giving those things to myself? Because if you're not giving them to yourself and you're just searching for, if you're seeking them from the partner or from the partnership or from trying to give your kid a two-parent family, then you're always going to come back to this decision. You're always going to come back to lack and deficit, because if you aren't getting it from yourself, you'll never feel whole. Okay? 2 more questions. Question number 4. Looking back, what belief about myself took me the longest to let go of? What belief about myself took me the longest to let go of? What belief about myself? That I deserved it. that like I deserved the shit, that I deserved how shitty my life was. That the shitty things that happened were a consequence of my shitty decisions, or like they're like punishment. I still have to let go of punishing myself. Not always for co-parenting related things, but like in general. And if, like, for those of you, I'm going to just say this real quick. Nothing that you're struggling with in co-parenting is a co-parenting isolated problem or isolated issue. Whatever triggers you about your co-parent, whatever you are struggling with co-parent or with co-parenting has deeper roots. And for me, I definitely punished myself for for having slept with her so many times, for making the same mistake so many times, for like I really felt like I deserved all this shit. And that took a long time to let go of. And what I truly believe now is that everything happened exactly how it was supposed to happen. I believe that about my life. I believe that about my kid's life. So it's not that, like, letting go of the punishment, letting go of the self-punishment allowed for so much joy to come into my life, so much purpose. Like, when you punish yourself, you don't have room for purpose. And without purpose, men especially, but women in a different way, men without purpose are the worst human beings on earth. And I mean that with full sincerity. Men without purpose are the most dangerous, the most lazy, the most detrimental, they're just the worst people on earth. And when I was punishing myself for a while, I guess maybe that what I thought my purpose was. So I had to let go of punishing myself for my choices and turn what happened into my purpose. Like I really started healing and started forgiving myself. And when I learned how to forgive myself, and when I kept practicing forgiving myself, it opened me up to new opportunities, to new thoughts, to new ways of seeing the world, new ways of seeing my co-parent, which helped me have more peace overall. And that is a big part of what allowed me to start coaching and what allowed me to start helping other people heal. Like, that's, I hope that when you guys pay attention or watch my reels, that you get that it's not really about co-parenting. Like, nothing that I teach you is just about co-parenting. That's just the box I give it to you in. It's how to have purpose in your life. It's how to live with authenticity. It's how to, like, learn the things that you're going to have to learn how to do regardless of if you're a co-parent or not. Like, if you don't know how to deal with your triggers, if you don't know how to process your emotions, if you don't know how to communicate, if you don't know how to deal with conflict, if you don't know how to have hard conversations, co-parenting will suck. But so will other relationships, whether they are romantic, whether they are friendship, whether they are family, whether they are work. Like, if you don't know how to process your emotion, life will be hard. If you don't know how to handle conflict, life will always feel like it's out to get you. If you don't know how to communicate, you'll feel like people don't understand you. If you don't know how to be authentic in yourself or with yourself, then you'll feel like everybody else is doing better than you. The reality is that you won't get the blessings that are meant for you if you're trying to be somebody else. Again, so that leads me into the fifth question, and yeah, just how do I, so this is I think a perfect one to wrap up with. How do I support the kid's relationship with their father while staying in my own lane? And One of my favorite things about coaching is when somebody asks me a question that they give themselves the answer to in the question. How do I support my kids' relationship with their father while staying in my own lane? By staying in your own lane. How do I support my kids' relationship with their father while staying in my own lane? Step one, stay in your own lane. Because he is not going to have the relationship you want him to have. I need you to hear this. This is for the person who asked and for everybody else who's listening or watching this. Okay, I thought I was going to keep going. The question was, how do I support my kids' relationship with their father while staying in my own lane? The first thing that I need you to understand, he's not going to have the relationship that you want him to have with them. He's going to have the relationship that he is going to have with them. And the relationship that you want him to have is based on your relationship with your father or your relationship with him, your co-parent, or what you think your kids need. I promise you, healing your relationship with your father, way more important than anything you're going to do with your co-parent and your kids. So here's how I would support the kids' relationship with their father while staying in my own lane. Heal my relationship with my own father. Heal the wounds and triggers that keep coming up in the relationship between me and my co-parent. And then really start healing the parts of me that get triggered emotionally when I see my kids suffering disappointment, rejection at the hands of my co-parent. Okay, I'm going to say those again. I think I got them. One, if I wanted to support my kids' relationship with their father while staying in my own lane, I would heal my relationship with my own father. I would heal my relationship with my own co-parent. I would face the triggers and the emotions that come up in our relationship. And then I would I'm going to close my window if it doesn't stop. Oh, it stopped again. I would really let the triggers that happen emotionally that I see from my kids and their relationship with their father, I would face those triggers, process those emotions so that I could just show up how I needed to show up for my kids. You do not need to do anything directly with your co-parent and your kids. You don't need to plan their days. You don't need to make it easier on them. If you heal your relationship with your father, work on the triggers and emotions that come up between you and your co-parent, and build your relationship with your kids by facing your triggers, the things that trigger them or trigger you about them, that will do so much more than anything that you think you need to do with your co-parent. Okay? So like I said, I call myself a co-parent coach, but what I am is I'm a life coach for people who just happen to be co-parents. And the reason that is because there just aren't enough people who can guide you through these things. A therapist can 100% help you deal with your emotions and even start to understand your emotions. But what I help people understand is that therapy is really good from understanding your past to your present. But coaching is going to help you take you from your present to the future that you want to create. Okay? So therapy can help you from your past to your present. Therapy can help you from your past to your present. And that's important. It is important to understand. Okay? Then coaching, which is more like guidance. It is more practice. It is embodiment. And it can take you from the present to the future that you want to create. Most of you don't need more awareness. Most of you don't need more information. Most of you don't need even the scripts of what to say. Most of you need to work on that gap between I know what to do, but it's hard to do it. It's hard to set the boundary. It's hard to hold the boundary. It's hard to have the conversations when I'm feeling anxious. It's hard to know how to react. It's hard to know what to do when I'm unsure. It's hard to handle the discomfort that happens when my kids are gone. What a lot of you need practice with is sitting with the discomfort. It's with sitting with the uncertainty. It's by getting more comfortable that everything is going to be something new going forward. Okay? So that's why this summer I'm offering 2 things. Number 1, I'm offering one-on-one sessions for $197. Okay? I'm going to put that in the link in my bio, and we can schedule like a grounded deep dive. We will go deep on 1 or 2 topics, and you will come out with a clear-cut like understanding, but also, like I just said, what you need to work on. And then for moms in particular, I'm running an accelerated version of my creators where you come into our program for 6 weeks and we teach you the things and we give you the practice, and you can always extend beyond that 6 weeks, but it's at a rate that makes it more accessible. So if you are hearing what I'm saying, you're like, yeah, I know these things, but then every time your co-parent texts you, you get triggered. Or every time you go set a boundary, your anxiety comes up and you don't know how to actually follow through. Coaching is what fills in that gap. It's what helps support you. And you have, like, some of you are how do I know when the right time is? How do I know whether or not I need to coach? Here's what I need you to hear. You're not supposed to wake up every day feeling anxious. You're not supposed to wake up and think about what your co-parent's going to do next. That's not how life is meant to be. That's not what's best for your kids. And some of you follow other pages that's what they want you doing. They want you paying attention to your co-parent. They want you charting their behaviors and understanding their patterns. But just like the woman above said, I feel like I love my kids more than I hate my children's father. So many of you are practicing things that have eliminated you from the equation. So many of you are in a place where it's like, I just do this for my kids. Yeah, but where are you at? Well, I don't want to be triggered by him anymore. Well, then you have to figure out what you're going to do instead. You are not going to live a life that is meaningful, and you're not going to live a life that is like worth your kids copying if you don't exist in your own story. Like, think about that. I just want my kids to know that it's okay to be themselves. I just want my kids to, know that their emotions are okay to feel. Well, do you feel your emotions in front of your kids? No, I don't want them to take on that burden. So you want your kids to do something that you don't show them how to do? Did you also not walk in front of your kids until they could walk? Well, Jay, I'll be okay when my kids are okay. Again, what the actual fuck? Like, with love and respect, what the actual fuck? You're not going to be okay until your kids are okay. You're the adult. They're looking to you. And here, you know what? I'm going to make that into a reel. That's actually what I'm going to do. Because here's what that phrase actually means. I'll come back to this. When you say, I'll be okay when my kids are okay, that's such a clear sign that you have an inner child that you need to make that inner child okay. Like that inner child needs safety, love, validation, and you're saying I'm not going to be okay until my kids are okay because there's a little kid inside of you that's not okay. That's what that means. You're the adult now. You have to take care of your inner child and your kids. Okay? There's one more question. I'm going to answer that and then I'm going to go. How do I get over the fear that boundaries will result in him taking me back to court and or losing my kids? Practice. The only way to overcome fear is to overcome the fear. The only way to overcome fear is by doing the scary thing. So many moms, and moms in particular, try to figure out how to get over the fear before they do the scary thing. That's why you're stuck. That's why it's lasted this long. You can't get over the fear without doing the scary thing. So what coaching helps with is building you up, because I promise you the way that you talk to yourself matters. So I would be very curious, if you were one of my clients, what is the story that you tell yourself about what he'll do? Which is, actually, just to answer that, you're scared that he will take you back to court. Number 2, I'd be okay with that outcome. I'd be like, I know that holding this boundary, like, if it's important to me, then what's meant to happen will happen. If that means he takes me back to court, okay. But I'm not going to let my fear dictate whether or not I set this boundary. And so that takes practice. And the fear of losing my kids. I will say this as somebody who has co-parented for 10 and 11 years. It will always happen exactly how it's supposed to happen. And so maybe this is going to scare you off and you unfollow me. If you set that boundary and it's a valid boundary and you end up losing your kids, then you were meant to lose your kids. Like, and I don't mean that from like a judgment state. It just helps you understand it, and it helps you hear it out loud. If you set that boundary, you were meant, and you lose your kids, then you were meant to lose your kids. That's how you get through the fear, is like you have to be okay with the fear thing happening. And then, like this person sharing, was here recently, I did the thing anyway, set the boundary, knowing I would be okay. Nothing happened. He got mad for a bit and we're okay a week later. Like that's that, and I appreciate you saying that, because that's what happens 99% of the time. The fear is keeping you stuck. So how do I'll bring it back to this. You can't get over the fear without doing the scary thing. So if you want to get over the fear, do the scary thing. Okay? So like I said, for those of you who are wanting to go deeper into these things, number 1, I am opening up, and it's just for June, coaching slots, 1-hour coaching slots for $197. Take advantage of that. Number 2, for moms in particular, a 6-week membership in the Creators, which is a coaching program that I run. I have a co-parenting mentor that helps us. You get multiple group sessions with me per week. You get a group chat. You get our curriculum. I'll say it this way, and like that, the woman who just asked, how do I get over the fear? It's not going to be through more information. The moms who follow me do not need more information. If you are following me, you do not need more information. You need to do the scary shit. You need to do the hard shit. You need to do the thing that you know is in there, but you keep putting off. That's what coaching is for. It's so much easier to do that in community. It's so much easier to do that when you're supported. It is hard to do it because when you're alone, because you will always revert back to your baseline operating system. And a lot of your baseline operating systems are based in fear. So you will go back to being scared. You will go back to isolating. You will go back to giving in. You will go back to anxiety. So for those of you who are wanting to actually change and who are actually wanting to do the work and who are at the point that the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of that fear, right? Because that's when change happens. You have to understand that things will change when the pain of it being like this for another 3 months or another 6 months is greater than the pain of getting out of your comfort zone. Some of you, it's like, it's bad. It's like, okay, it sucks. So you're going to stay stuck for a little bit longer. Some of you are going to wake up tomorrow and be like, fuck this. I cannot live another day like this. That's who I work with. That's who I want to work with. That's who I want to reach out to me. If you're in that stage where you're like, it's not that bad, then it's not that bad. And very few people have the motivation to change when it's not that bad. And that's not judgment. But I don't work with those people because I ask a lot of my clients. I show up for my clients in a big way, and I ask a lot of them. So if you're interested, fill out an application for longer term coaching or sign up for a one-on-one session, and we can really give you some clear-cut answers. Okay? See you next time.